Hello and welcome to Equity News Tidbits. I am Hafsat Badiru. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule has expressed support for increasing female representation in local government positions following a visit by women aspirants led by Honorable Hajara Ibrahim Danyaro, who appeared as the representative of the Minister of State for Police Affairs, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim. Government House correspondent Zainab Ibrahim reports.
Governor Abdullahi Sule met with women aspirants led by Honorable Hajara Ibrahim Danyaro, who represented the Minister of State for Police Affairs, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, at the Government House in Lafia. During the visit, Suleiman requested the governor's support to increase the representation of women as elected officials, including councillors, deputy chairpersons, and secretaries in the upcoming local government election.
Your Excellency, we are sure you will not let us down. Seeing these faces before you, Your Excellency, I know you will insist any local government that brought a list without a woman, Your Excellency, the mother of Nasarawa said they are requesting you reject that local government list. The next request, Your Excellency, we requested for at least 3 chairmen of local government out of the 13, so that His Excellency will give each zone to produce a woman. Today, we are lucky and happy to tell His Excellency that we have only one woman that purchased the form at the 50% discount for women. That is Dr. Esther Alu from Nasarawa Egon.
Governor Sule welcomed the idea, reiterating the APC's commitment to ensuring that each local government field a female candidate.
So I want to tell you that in Nasarawa local government, you must bring a woman. This is our agreement. The only thing I will plead is to find out at least a woman has bought a form. That's why we charge you less for the forms, so that the woman should be able to buy the forms. So I pray that in every local government, because what I will not like to hear is a situation where I will come and say, we must have a woman in this local government, and they will tell me, so sir, there is no woman whatsoever that has bought the form. Because if I know on time that there is no woman from that, and I don't know any local government that will not have stakeholders that will get together and buy a form for at least one woman, at least for councillor. So I don't see a problem with that. But if there are 4 or 5 women that have bought, and we end up having 4 or 5 women in the local government as I don't have any problem with that. You know, I think it's completely up to the stakeholders of that local government. But what we insist is that there must be one, because the women have worked so hard in our party to make sure our party is returned. So there is no local government where they will have a problem having at least a woman coming in as a councillor. But in addition to that, just like you have prayed, we are also going to look at the other position. The problem we're having now is the three aspirants that we asked to be selected and sent to us. Most of the local government areas will select the 3, and then they will send to me and say, one is chairman, one is deputy chairman, one is secretary. And nobody has asked them to do that work, but they are doing that work. I think they are doing that work for their own peace. But in reality, what we wanted was to send 3, and then we select one from the 3. That way, when we go back and there is an area where we find there is a very, very strong woman who can now be a secretary or something, we can select from the women to do that without our bias.
As agreed upon during their stakeholders meeting. From Government House Lafia, Zainab Ibrahim, Equity TV.
In another development, Governor Sule urged for a united approach involving community members, government bodies, and stakeholders to tackle the growing issue of drug abuse. Speaking at the North Central National Sensitization Workshop in Lafia, he emphasized the importance of awareness, cooperation, and surveillance to address the prevalence of narcotic drug use, particularly among youth and women. Zainab Ibrahim has the details.
Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State emphasized the need for collaborative efforts to combat drug abuse during the North Central National Sensitization Workshop in Lafia. The workshop, organized by the National House of Representatives Committee on Narcotic Drugs in partnership with the Nasarawa State government, aimed to address drug trafficking and abuse, especially among youth and women. Governor Sule called for strengthened surveillance and community cooperation, stressing the harmful effect of narcotics on health, society, and the economy.
As you are aware, drug abuse is a man-made phenomenon, as was described earlier on by the two commissioners for Women Affairs and the Commissioner of Health, because it has continued to have impact on the individual well-being, on individual families, groups, and even the society as a whole. Drugs, as was mentioned, happens to be substances that have the capacity to affect functioning of our bodies and are expected to be taken in line with advice and guidance of the medical experts. Similarly, narcotics are drugs that have addictive and largely very harmful to our own internal system.
He highlighted that drug abuse, primarily among youth, contributes to issues like crime and terrorism. He praised the House Committee for its initiative and encouraged broader participation across Nigeria. Honorable Abbas Agbowari, chair of the House Committee, commended Nasarawa for leading this sensitization effort and urged all state governors to support similar campaigns nationwide.
We were ready to move every corner of this country, all the 774 local governments that we have, because we believe that it is the time now that we're supposed to declare the state of emergency on the drug use abuse in our nation. But the lack of fund, like I said earlier, from the federal government to the agency. So we committee, we believe that we need to appeal to every governor of our state, of our country, so that we can able to work together, because we are ready under the leadership of our speaker, Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, PhD. So we are ready to be outside there to able to talk to our youth, our citizens across the country. And we are very, very happy today that this is our first outing, and we are thank you, Your Excellency, sir, that you are the first governor in the whole nation that are accepting us to invite us from National Assembly. We thank you.
Key stakeholders, including the State Chief Judge Aisha Bashir Aliyu, the Commissioner of Women Affairs Aisha Turufai, and the Commissioner of Health Dr. Gaza Gwana, underscored the roles of parents, community leaders, and health authorities in addressing drug abuse.
The imperative of addressing this unfortunate challenge is the reason the House of Representatives Committee on Narcotic Drugs is partnering with Nasarawa State Government to host this workshop for stakeholders from the North Central Zone to deliberate, share experiences, and map strategies on drug abuse and prevention. Furthermore, it is important to state that the imperative of sensitizing women and youth to shun narcotics and drug is to enable them grow to be responsible individuals that will be useful to themselves and contribute to national development.
Traditional leader Dr. Kabiru Usman Ibrahim also called for increased involvement of state governors in awareness campaigns, even suggesting a state of emergency on issue if needed. From Government House, Lafia, Zainab Ibrahim, Equity TV.
Governor Sule also hosted a delegation from St. Power Generation led by Mr. Kweku Awoti to advance the discussions on the Nasarawa hydropower project. The meeting followed the initial talk at the Yunga in New York, with the delegation visiting project sites before engaging with state officials on the next steps. Zainab Ibrahim has more.
Nasarawa State Governor Engineer Abdullahi Sule welcomed a delegation from Sen Power Generation Company led by Mr. Kweku Awotue to advance discussions on the Nasarawa hydropower project.
When I came in and I saw Nasarawa is the home of solid minerals, I think you will know, everybody here will know that without power, you cannot have minerals. And not just minerals, you need 24/7 power. No mining company will come into your state and say, I can't do a mine without power. And the first or second question they will ask is, where's my 24/7 power? I don't know what answer you'll give them, but if we have hydro, you'll have 24/7 power, because hydro runs day in, day out, whether it's nighttime, daytime, windy time, dry time, hydro can run all the time. So I see a great opportunity for Nasarawa that if you are going to promote solid minerals as a key to your economic development, you must have 24/7 power, which means you must have hydropower.
This followed the initial talks during the UNGA in New York. Before meeting the governor in Lafia, the team visited proposed site at Ferroruwa Waterfalls and Dome Dam. They later met with the governor and Barrister Ibrahim Abdullahi, CEO of the Nasarawa State Investment Development Agency, to plan the way forward. Governor Sule expressed appreciation for the delegation's visit and their commitment to the project.
So I'm very happy that all the prospective investors that we met in New York and Washington, D.C. during this trip, you are the second one that came, because we already had the first team that arrived, and then we have meetings, while they were while I was in Abuja and they were in Lagos, and then we had discussions that you have shown seriousness by coming in to continue with hydropower. So you have already said everything that needs to be said. It's just thank you for showing the interest. When I also arrived in Nasarawa State as a governor, and then I visited Ferroruwa for the first time, I was blown away, because I didn't even know anything about it until I became the governor. I didn't know much about it, put it that way. So I became very, very interested, and we rushed in ensuring that at least the road network was constructed, and because those are the structures you are talking about. The infrastructure must be there, power must be there, water must be there. So that's the only way you can bring development. If you don't have all these basic infrastructure, you don't have a road to the place, you don't have power to the place, you don't have water to the place, nobody will be interested. So that's why we are taking one step at a time, and we are arriving at that destination, and I'm happy.
Nigerian police force has disclosed that it flagged a total of 612 hijacked and missing vehicles across the country within the last month. This was declared in a statement by the Force Police Relations Officer, ASP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, which says the vehicles were seized after the deployment of the Electronic Central Motor Registry. He added that the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered an immediate investigation to dismantle the syndicate responsible for these vehicle hijackings. And that's a wrap on Equity News Tidbits. Join us next time for another package of the news. I am Hafsat Badiru.